Hey guys, welcome to Todd versus BBD. Today we're going to do a playtest video with me playing Jund Midrange, and Brian, tell us about what you're playing.
I'm playing Junk Reanimator. It's Dan Jordan's deck that he got second in SCG Providence with.
Great. All right, well, we're going to take a look at the decks in just a second, but I want to talk about Providence real quick because the deck that won I thought was pretty interesting, the token deck.
Yep.
And it's something similar to what you played last week, right?
Right.
Although he had Intangible Virtue and was a little more focused on the token theme. But how did you like that deck? Because I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. When I saw that deck win, it kind of made me happy because, you know, I really like Soren right now a lot in this format, and it was like very similar to the deck that I played.
Yeah, it was actually funny because we recorded the video like 2 days before the Open took place.
Right.
And then, you know, Brian's like, "Oh, Soren's awesome. Soren's so good." And then the deck ends up winning the tournament, and Brian's like, "No, someone else won with Soren before I could."
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So, but today we're going to be playing Dan Jordan's Junk Reanimator deck. The black, green, white is what junk means. I think that's pretty conventional now. Uses Angel of Serenity and stuff like that. But first, we're going to go over the Jund Midrange deck. Now, this made top 4 last week in the hands of Lauren Nolan, and then a lot of
that was 2 weeks ago.
In Cincinnati. And then the deck was changed a reasonable amount for this week, and then I think it made top 4 again, right?
Right, this deck finished 3rd, yeah.
Right, so let's take a look at the deck. I think the heart of the deck is Olivia Voldaren.
Definitely.
She is awesome right now against all of the green-based decks. The fact that she can steal a Thragtusk is huge. And, you know, she can ping the little weenie creatures, and there's not a lot of removal in the format that can kill her efficiently.
Right, and the reason, out of all the Jund lists that I saw, I like this one the most just because it plays for Olivia.
Right.
Like, even though she's legendary, if she's in play and using her abilities,
the game's pretty much over.
Yeah, you don't need the rest of the cards in your hand. So.
Right. And then moving on, the other big creature in the deck, I think, is Thragtusk.
Definitely.
It's one of the defining creatures of the format. It shuts down zombies, creates a lot of card advantage against like mass removal decks or spot removal decks, and really it's awesome. I mean, it's one of the best creatures ever printed, I think.
It does everything you want it to do. Yeah, it's good against pretty much every single deck.
Right.
Yeah.
Continuing with the creatures, we have some Huntmasters, a smattering of other things. Rakdos Key Rune is very good, I think, right now because it can block Thragtusk profitably since it has first strike.
Yeah, I think,
and it doesn't die to sorcery speed removal.
Yeah, I think Rakdos Key Rune is one of the cards that people might not point out immediately, but it's like very defining card in this deck.
Right.
Because it just does everything you want it to do. Like it blocks everything, and you know if your opponent plays Terminus, you still get to attack with it next turn.
Right.
Attacks Planeswalkers, etc.
The rest of the deck is pretty much just removal. Like I really like Sever the Bloodline and Pillar right now because they're both so good versus zombies. The only change I made from the list that made top 4 in Providence was I took the Severs to the main deck and put a Liliana into the sideboard, and I just planned on bringing in Liliana of the Veil against Geist-Hussein Draft, but.
Yeah, I think Sever's a stronger main deck choice right now.
Yep, I agree. The sideboard kind of set up to just beat a bunch of different stuff. Like we have some extra removal, 1 Underworld Connections, 1 Vraska that come in against control, a couple Duresses here and there, and yeah, I mean nothing too special. One card that I would like to talk about real quick before we move on to the Reanimator deck though is Rakdos Return. I think that card is going to be one of the better underrated cards in Return to Ravnica. I just think that the ability to like play a couple ramp spells and then play it for like 3 or 4 on turn 4 is pretty huge.
Yeah, and it's just devastating, especially like against like a Jace deck. You can also like maybe kill the
Planeswalker. Yeah, that seems awesome.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Blighting in that respect. But all right, so let's move on to the Junk Reanimator deck. So Brian, you take the helm, talk about it real quick.
So the Junk deck, the main goal of this deck is centered around like Angel of Serenity. That's pretty much the key part of the deck. And the idea is to use Mulch and Grizzly Salvage to fill your graveyard with like Angels, Thragtusks, Unburial Rites, and then you want to Unburial Rite your Angel. That's kind of the main goal of the deck.
You also have some cool things like a couple Lingering Souls. So can you explain why you're only playing 2 Lingering Souls instead of 4?
The reason for 2 is like Lingering Souls isn't great in every matchup, but it's definitely there for like some matchups, like against any kind of control deck, you definitely want Lingering Souls along with like a Gavony Township to really pressure them.
Agreed.
But against like some decks like Zombies where they're playing like Rancor on their Gravecrawler, like a Lingering Souls.
Not that great.
Yeah, it's not really doing that much.
Yeah, so I mean he's lacking a little against both control and aggro at the moment, right? Or Lingering Souls is, so because Jace kind of shuts it down unless you have a Township.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that makes sense. I like that. And then like you said, we also have like 8 mana guys.
Yeah. So like one very reasonable thing this deck can do is just hard cast the Angel.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And I think a lot of people like kind of overlook that and like will maybe overload on too much graveyard hate and they'll just die to a turn
Angel.
5 Angel with 2 mana dorks or whatever.
Right.
So,
cool. All right. Anything interesting in the sideboard you want to talk about?
The sideboard is like just basically like a variety of things that you want in different matchups. Like Sever the Bloodline, I think is just a very good card in general, and like that's something that you're going to want to bring in against decks that are playing like Entreat the Angels or like the zombie decks. You want to be able to hit their messengers. Or whatever.
What about this Garrick Primal Hunter? Because that guy sounds like he's pretty saucy.
Yeah, I have a soft spot in my heart for Garrick, so he definitely is like very good against I think any of the mid-range decks and also the control decks.
Right.
Especially because you have like Pilgrims and Arbor Elf and even Deathrite Shaman to accelerate you, so he can like come down very early and start making beasts, draw you a ton of cards, etc. And then another card that I think is interesting is like Deathrite Shaman, the card I mentioned. And this card, because you're playing Mulch and Grizzly Salvage, you're dumping cards into your graveyard to fuel him. So you'll be able to kind of Birds of Paradise with him maybe a couple times a game, and then you can like exile spells to hit them. You can exile creatures to gain some life. And it can be like a little disruptive against like certain decks, like Snapcaster decks. Like you can really disrupt
and
them.
It's also ridiculous in the mirror, which is important to note because it's one of the cards that, if you have it in play, just makes your opponent's deck so much slower than it would be.
Right, because like their Unburial Rights just don't do what they want them to do.
Right.
So
cool. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get into the match real quick. We'll start off with the die roll. I believe that Brian wins because he is. He actually calls his lucky 7 here.
Yeah, I call 7 naturally. Then I call a 6 for Todd, and
of course I roll a 6.
You know, he rolls a 6. So
4 was off camera.
Yeah,
we lose the roll. Brian, let's take a quick look at your hand. When we pull it up here, let's take a pause so we can look at it. One more. We got to draw one more card.
Yeah. This is
right here.
Probably not what I would consider a snap keep, but it's okay. Like I have Arbor Elf, but I don't have any actual forests.
That's always a little awkward.
Yeah, but I have like the rest of my hand's like very good. It's like Angel, Thragtusk, and Angel of Serenity, Restoration Angel.
And your deck has what 14 forests in it, right? 8 dual lands and 5 basics.
It's 13. Yeah.
13. Oh, oh yeah, math professor.
Yeah, Todd Anderson, math professor. Right.
Okay, so 13. We're dumb. But yeah, I mean, you also have like Mulch, Grizzly Salvage to try to draw into them. So your elf's not dead,
etc. So.
All right, so yeah, not a bad hand. Mine is 6 land and Rakdos Return, and this is actually a matchup where Rakdos Return is terrible. Simply because if you have like an Unburial Rights in your graveyard and I like allow you to discard your Angel, I just basically Soul Ring you. You just get a Dark Ritual. So, but I'm gonna throw this back. 6-card hand. We'll fast forward through the shuffling bit. But yeah, I mean, basically in this matchup, I think my goal is to slow you down as much as possible by killing your mana guys, and then try to stick an Olivia Voldaren. But this hand isn't bad. It's Overgrown Tomb, Woodland Cemetery, Farseek, Keyrune, Huntmaster, Dreadbore. So I have a threat, a removal spell, and some acceleration. I think that's about as much as I can ask for on 6 cards.
Yeah, so. No, that looks like a pretty ideal hand right there.
All right, sure. All right, so let's get into the game. Brian leads with a Sunpetal Grove, and I'm pretty happy when he doesn't play a mana guy on turn 1.
It's basically my classic opener in the last year. It's just Sunpetal Grove
when
tapped.
You play Sunpetal Groves and mana guys that have to, like come into play, I mean, it's just going to happen. So the fact that he played an Oversold Cemetery, or Woodland Cemetery there made me pretty happy, and I opted to Farseek here since I didn't think he'd be able to gain mana. And that will also allow me to play Huntmaster on turn 3. So,
yeah, I think that's fine. Like I don't have a forest showing, and it's very likely I would have played one if I did have it.
Right.
Almost assuredly. Like, yeah.
Okay. Well, for the next couple turns, I'm pretty much just planning on casting Huntmasters. Hopefully he doesn't play anything crazy and get like a Angel of Serenity into play too early. Although I am obviously always worried about Thragtusk and Restoration Angel, which Brian has both in his hand.
Yeah.
And it's going to come up in a minute. It's going to be super awkward.
So I rip the Overgrown Tomb here, which is exactly what I needed to draw there, because it's like a forest for Arbor Elf, and
and the other land you needed.
And it's the other land I needed to come and play untapped so I could cast the Borderland Ranger.
Right.
So now I'll take 2 and play this.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that Brian decided to take 2 damage from his land as opposed to do 1 to me, because he's being the aggressor in this matchup, and I'm not sure if it's correct, but his mindset in that scenario was to just go for the throat, which since I wasn't like putting a lot of things into play early, which the deck doesn't really do. But
and I also have Thragtusk and Angel, so like the life
you can mitigate the life loss.
I can mitigate the life loss, but I want to just get in as much damage as possible.
Sure.
So.
All right, so we're going to drop the first Huntmaster, and hoping that he just passes turn on 4, but that seems unlikely.
Nah, just going to jam a Thrag. I'm going to send in my Borderland Ranger here, and although Restoration Angel is good with Borderland Ranger, I am saving that for the Thragtusk.
Sure.
So I'm fine just like trading it off right here, and then going to jam Thragtusk.
Yep. Well, you got to untap the land first, Brian. You can't just tap it for mana. You got to put it on the stack.
It's true. It does go on the stack.
Yeah. So, I mean, facing off a Thragtusk here, I don't really want Brian to be able to cast 2 spells next turn, and also don't really want him to cast Angel anytime soon. So I go ahead and Pillar, even though it deals me 2 damage from my land, and then I go ahead and cast another Huntmaster, but obviously he can't attack. And I have the option next turn to potentially pass turn to try to flip both Huntmasters and kill the Thragtusk, as well as leave me with a pair of 4/4s. But obviously this plan is going to be foiled via Restoration Angel.
So I basically have the perfect setup here, which is a mana dork.
Cast a spell.
So that his Huntmasters don't flip, and then I have Angel to make sure that he can't flip them again.
Yep.
So
pretty rough for me, but now that he has 4 mana up, I know that I'm probably not going to be able to pass the turn and flip my guys. It
also kind of shuts off the Dreadbore in your hand too.
Yeah. And so what I actually did here was I suspected Restoration Angel, so I baited the Restoration Angel with an attack with just the wolf. If I had attacked with the Huntmaster too, I think he definitely would have flashed in Restoration Angel, and then I would have been able to Dreadbore the Restoration Angel post-combat, which I think would have been better than just sitting back with the 2 Huntmasters, because now he doesn't bite on the 2, and now I don't have a chump blocker for Thragtusk, because I don't really want to chump block with Huntmasters, but I do have the Keyrune to block, so...
So I draw Overgrown Tomb this turn, which lets me cast Angel Serenity.
Yep.
So I just send the team in, because I'm going to cast Angel, and I actually want Todd to activate his Rakdos Keyrune so that I can get it with the Angel.
Yeah, and this is actually something I didn't realize for a minute. I blocked and then moved the Keyrune back, and then when he played Angel, I was like, picked up the 3 guys that I had in play as opposed to, the Keyrune or whatever, so...
And I'm fine with him eating either Thragtusk or the Beast there, because I can get Thragtusk back with Angel if I want to.
Right.
I end up opting not to, but here I decide to get both his Huntmasters and the Keyrune. The Keyrune's the most important thing here, because it like stunts his mana and it blocks profitably, whereas like none of his other creatures do.
Right.
But I think I need to clear the Huntmasters off the board so he can't like do flip shenanigans with them and start to kill off my team. And the wolf token is fairly irrelevant because I have a bunch of 3/3s.
Right.
So.
All right. So moving on to my next turn, I'm pretty much crushed at this point. Like even a Dreadbore, I can't recast a Huntmaster because I don't have another mana source. My hand is like Farseek, Dreadbore, and I think I drew another Keyrune, but I mean it's just irrelevant. Like I can't play Keyrune and Dreadbore and activate the Keyrune to block. So I do my best to, like pretend like I'm in the game, kill his guy, get back my pair of Huntmasters, and I think I played Keyrune in past, and then I think, did you draw another Angel? Or no, you drew on Barrel Rights, right?
It was yeah. I think it's actually the next turn I draw.
Yeah.
Oh, it is this turn. Yep.
Yeah, so he just unbarrels Angel, and then I'm dead. So, like, I mean, obviously I'm not dead. Like, I take 9 and go to 1, but I have no cards in my deck that can get me out of that situation.
Yeah,
so, like, even Bonfire's only going to deal 5 because I only had 6 mana. So.
And the Angel would survive, right?
Right. So. All right. So we're going to play 2 games pre-board. I know I started to take cards out, but we decided to play best of 5 instead of 3. So decks stay the same for now. I'm going to be on the play this game. Let's go ahead and take a look at our opening hands. All right, pause. So my hand isn't terrible. I have Pillar, Keyrune, Olivia, Abrupt Decay, and 3 lands. So I have a couple ways to stunt his early mana development, as well as my best card against him, which is Olivia. So I keep it, but...
my hand is pretty spicy. It's 4 lands, one of which is a Vault of the Archangel, all my colors of mana.
Yep.
I have a Borderland Ranger, a Restoration Angel, and a Mana Dork.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you can just kind of curve out Mana Dude into Borderland into Restoration Angel if you want to.
Yeah.
You can also opt to save the Restoration Angel for a Thragtusk could you draw it. So.
Yeah, this is not like a Reanimator style hand, but this is definitely a...
This is a Brian style hand.
Yeah, this is a...
this is Value Town.
Green-white value style hand, so...
All right, so we're going to lead with Woodland Cemetery. We don't have a forest or swamp to make them come and play untapped, but hopefully it shouldn't hurt me too bad. Oh, what did you draw there, Brian?
It's like an Angel of Serenity.
Oh, yeah, that guy. He's not very good at all. He's just...
Yeah, I don't know why he's in the deck. It doesn't seem good.
Yeah, whatever. Just the best card ever printed.
That also seems wrong.
Yeah, also wrong. We're doing exaggerations today. That's what we're doing, so...
So I mulch. This mulch is okay at best.
Oh, yeah, it's not bad. Like he hits a land, which is nice, and then also Unburial Rights, Thragtusk, and Angel of Serenity.
You know, it's just okay. Like, yeah, it could be a little better, maybe. Actually.
I mean, it could be a little better.
Yeah.
No, it couldn't.
Yeah. I think those are actually the perfect 4, to be honest.
So we just play Keyrune, and this just looks embarrassing against his graveyard. So. Since it's game 1, I don't really have much interaction with his graveyard, which is unfortunate. But so I asked Brian, before he cast the Borderland Ranger, I was like, do you have the white mana? And he goes, yep, and then plays Borderland Ranger, which was pretty funny. So I have another Olivia in hand, so we just play the Olivia. And my plan here is to get him to go ahead and get the Angel of Serenity into play, killing my Olivia. But then I'm going to play the second Olivia, and then a Keyrune, and then potentially I can ping and steal his Angel, or like ping away like his Borderland Ranger.
Yeah, like I hate to use the Angel here. Like it's pretty clear that Todd, if he runs out Olivia like that, he probably has either a Dreadbore or a second Olivia.
Right.
But I actually just have to anyway because Olivia is pretty unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get rid of it at some point, and it's always better to get rid of it sooner than later.
Right. So, and I do get to get my Thragtusk back underneath the Angel. So.
Right. All right, so we take some damage, and luckily I drew a land which I can play untapped, and that allows me to play Keyrune and Olivia, and that'll give me access to 7 mana on the following turn so that I can play... or use Olivia and both her abilities in the same turn. So,
and I have a Vault of the Archangel in my hand here, which is
really gross because now I can't block his Borderland Ranger, and yeah, I'm in a lot of trouble here since he has the Vault and also a handful of absurd cards.
Yeah, the Vault's really nice because it lets me. I don't actually have to activate it; it's just the threat of activating it that creates the problem. So it means he can't block, and then I still get to cast things, so it's pretty super right there.
Yep, so we take 7 down to 9. I think you have like...
So I play an Arbor Elf here, and I have Restoration Angel in hand.
Yep. I should have known that you probably had a Restoration Angel here, but for some reason I just blinked. My plan, since he was at 20, and it didn't seem like he really wanted to use the Vault of the Archangel too much, and I had the potential to dominate his entire board with Olivia. I wanted to kill his mana guy so he couldn't cast Angel of Serenity on the next turn. But since I was doing that, I wasn't able to ping and steal his other Angel of Serenity. So what I did was I went to kill his elf and then shoot his Borderland Ranger twice and then attack for 6 because I didn't really want to block since he had the Vault, and I wanted to make sure Olivia would stay alive. So we actually make a small mistake here. Both of us miss it. After I go for the second shot on the Borderland Ranger, I just automatically tick the die up on Olivia.
Right.
But after you play the Restoration Angel and blink your Borderland Ranger, I shouldn't have gotten the counter. And my guy should just be a 5/5. So it ends up mattering a lot, though, because I end up blocking your Angel of Serenity. So it ends up not mattering overall. But the fact that like this completely changed the board state was important to note.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like small mistakes like that happen a lot in Magic, and I mean, we both missed it, so it was kind of like an oddball scenario.
Right. Typically, one of us will see it, but
yeah, I was just like shortcutting to make my guy a 6/6 and attack. Like that was my plan. So when it was disrupted, I just
still made it the 6/6. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So here I'm just sending everything again with the vault. Like Olivia can't profitably block anything because just give it Death Touch.
Yeah. So yeah,
Take him down to 4.
if I was able to draw like a bonfire or something here to stabilize, the Olivia thing would have mattered a lot more, I think. Luckily, I'm able to just play Olivia, Pillar of Flame, and Abrupt Decay, I think, is the play that I make. And I drew Sever, but I want to play Olivia, and I can kill your Elf and your Borderland Ranger and just take 3 and go down to 1 from the Restoration Angel. But, I mean, your hand is just mono ridiculous cards.
Yeah, my hand is just absurdly stacked, so.
2 Angel of Serenity and a Thragtusk, and I think you have something else too, but doesn't matter. But, again, doing my best. I don't Abrupt Decay, I just ping it because that's like... It's better to make Olivia bigger. I have the option to trade with the Restoration Angel now, although it would be the worst thing in history if I did. So,
I think I actually just jam Angel here, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Angel's ability puts the cards back in your hand, which makes it so that even if they're able to kill it, it's a huge tempo boost to your side of the board. So if you're ahead on board and you Angel... even if your opponent kills it, like they still have to kill it and then also replay the cards that you exiled. Yeah. And also they sometimes get a card back from their graveyard. So.
Yeah, like in this case I'm chaining Angels together, so...
Yeah, so like I'm at 1, so even if I play my Overgrown Tomb, I can sever it, but I still can't play Olivia, so it just didn't matter. All right, so we're going to go ahead and sideboard now. I know that personally I don't like Rakdos Return in the matchup just because sometimes it turns... his hand into it basically gives him a Dark Ritual, and Abrupt Decay also seems pretty mediocre. Okay, so the cards that I want to bring in definitely are Grafdigger's Cage, Deathrite Shaman, and Underworld Connections.
As for myself, I want to bring in Sever and O-Ring pretty much entirely for Olivia. Like, I need to have ways to kill her. And then I think Garruk Primal Hunter is pretty solid because both of our decks are like reasonably slowish mid-ranges, so... if I can play that like early off of Pilgrim or Arbor Elf for both, then it should kind of take over a game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems good. I like that card a lot in the deck. The fact that you have Thragtusk and Angel means that you're very regularly just going to draw 5 cards with it.
Yep.
And it puts you like really far ahead against all of the other mid-range decks. And I mean, it's a really good card. Both abilities are awesome, and his ultimate usually ends the game on the spot, like the next attack.
Yep. Definitely, and I ended up siding out 2 Lingering Souls because, like, Bonfire, Huntmaster, Olivia...
Potentially Mizium Mortars, too.
Yeah, there's like a number of cards in this matchup that kind of invalidate that. Yeah. And I cut 2 Rights. I'm not entirely sure on that. It's possible it should actually just be 1 Rights and the Deathrite Shaman.
Right.
But I don't want to have too many copies of Unburial Rights when most decks are going to side in some form of hate. Like, I don't know exactly what the hate's going to be, but I know there's going to be something.
Right. So... All right, so let's go ahead and move into Game 3. Game 3, I'm going to be on the play. Finally get some sideboard cards, but I keep kind of a weak hand this game, I think, but I thought that Grafdigger's Cage would be better against you than it was. My hand is a little mana heavy, but since it has Grafdigger's Cage and a Sever the Bloodline, I felt like it would definitely give me a good shot to win if I drew like 1 or 2 relevant spells. What's your hand looking like?
My hand's a little gross. Like, this is a pretty loose keep. I have...
Real shocked.
Yeah. I have Woodland Cemetery, Gavney Township, Vault of the Archangels, my lands. And then I have Avacyn's Pilgrim, Arbor Elf, Thragtusk, Garruk.
Sure.
So if I draw a forest...
Your hand becomes ridiculous.
My hand becomes ridiculous. But if I don't, it's very clunky.
Sure. So. All right, well, we're going to be on the play. I don't really want to lead with the Grafdigger's Cage here. If I want to potentially be able to flashback my Sever the Bloodline, but I end up forgetting like 2 turns later that it affects me too, and then play it, and then my Sever gets locked out. And I don't think it would have mattered because I don't draw too many relevant spells this game. But
so I draw an uncastable Grizzly Salvage.
That's sweet. Yeah, even if you play your Absence Pilgrim, can't cast it.
Yep, yeah. I draw another Thragtusk here, which...
Yep. My first draw yields a Farseek, which if I draw like a Huntmaster or an Olivia here, then I'll be in amazing shape. Unfortunately, though, the deck is not cooperative in this regard. So I think mono Dragon Skull summons. Yeah, there's no Roan Tomb. Since his mana is really awkward, like he played a tapped land and then a second land was a township, I decided to just go ahead and sever his Pilgrim, because the way my hand's looking, I obviously just need to slow him down as much as possible.
I drew yet another Thragtusk, so my hand is absurdly gross at this point.
Yep. We drew a Key Rune and and I played the Grafdigger's Cage, but I think if I had just not played the cage there, on my next turn, I can play my land, sever his mana guy if I want to, and that would have continued to slow him down. But the fact that I played the cage, which was a mistake, I think, ended up making me do virtually nothing for the rest of the game. So.
Yeah, I ripped Mulch, which is pretty much the perfect. And I get to play Overgrown Tomb untapped here. And
that's a pretty spicy hand there. You got, what, 1, 2, 3 Thragtusks and a Garruk?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, not bad.
But I get to play Overgrown Tomb here, and because Arbor Elf untaps it, I can add black and green from it to cast Grizzly Salvage.
Right, which is pretty nice. Yep. So, again, I think we draw another land here, but I was trying to since Brian played the Overgrown Tomb untapped, I was trying to figure out what he had, and it took me a second, but I figured out that it was Grizzly Salvage. And then I just attack for 3 with Key Rune, play a land, hope that nothing bad's going to happen. But unfortunately, not only does he hit Unburial Rites and Angel, but he can actually just cast Angel pretty soon.
The Unburial Rites is dead because of the cage, but
sure. Forget about that too.
But the Angel is something I can reasonably cast later in the game if I draw another white source.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously no reason to put into the graveyard when
right.
there's cage in play and you don't have an answer for it yet. So.
Exactly.
My hand of 2 Dragon Skull summons seems pretty reasonably well positioned against your 3 Thragtusk, Restoration Angel, Angel Serenity, and Garruk.
Yeah, it's this seems real close right now. Like, it's really tough to see who's gonna pull out ahead here. So I play this.
Can we just fast forward this game? This seems this is just embarrassing.
So I play that one tapped and then use Arbor Elf to untap it so I don't take damage.
Right.
And
I mean, I'm not dead yet. Like, I can still draw Bonfire to like kill your stuff and kill your Garruk, but unfortunately, I think I forgot what we drew this turn.
I think was it Deathrite Shaman?
Okay, sure. A little late, but obviously he hasn't done anything with the graveyard yet, so it's not like the Shaman mattered much anyway. He decided to chump block, which I agree with.
I want to keep Garruk at 4, and then I can draw cards with him.
Oh, yeah, and then he draws 5 cards here, and then I think this was the point where I gave up. But honestly, we gave up a long time ago.
Yeah. The 5 cards I drew were pretty unexciting, but
you can't even really cast Angel of Serenity. I didn't need,
Yeah, I can.
Where's your other white source?
I think I have a Sun
Is there
Petal Grove.
Okay, there is a Sun Petal Grove in there. Man. How lucky to draw that Sun Petal Grove off the 5 cards.
How lucky. Yeah, just running really hot, you know, drawing a land out of, 5 cards.
So,
I have to discard here at end of turn.
Oh, I feel real bad for you having to discard the force there.
Yeah, it does kind of suck a bit. So.
Okay. And the mulch. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, again, I just decided to try to kill Garruk, which obviously fails. And I drew another land. Can we actually fast forward through the rest of this game? Because I think I concede next turn, and there's no reason to keep playing.
This game's basically over. Like, my hand is stacked, and
Yeah. So Brian, makes another beast, plays like Angel of Serenity. I get to eat a Thragtusk in response, and then I just peel like nothing and concede. So. I don't think I made any sideboard changes here, but I think Brian made a small change, right?
I took out the Deathrite Shaman I have main deck and brought in an Abrupt Decay.
Right.
And I actually think that
Should have brought in the Unbearable Rights instead of the Abrupt Decay.
maybe, but I actually like Abrupt Decay a lot because like you have Key Rune.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the only thing it hits though in my whole deck.
I mean it hits Deathrite Shaman and Grafdigger's Cage.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Now that you saw Grafdigger's Cage, I guess it's pretty reasonable to bring in Abrupt Decay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would have cut anything, but all right. So my hand looks fine. I have Sever, Huntmaster, Olivia, Dreadbore, and 3 lands, and all my colors. I don't have a 4th mana source yet to cast any of my things, but since I have the Dreadbore to slow them down a little bit, I think I'll have enough time to get those online.
Yeah, I for once in my life decided to ship back a loose one, and it's 2 Angels, Garruk, Mulch, Oblivion Ring, Grizzly Salvage.
But if you draw a land, you can cast Mulch, and then that will get you more lands. True. And then you can still not cast anything.
Yeah, and then I can just not cast anything till turn 5. So. Yeah. Would have hit the lands, but
if you had a Mana Dude in that hand, I think that hand would have been very reasonable, though.
Oh, definitely, yeah, because I have the acceleration to cast, cast like a Garruk earlier.
Right, and like you have the acceleration and a 2nd mana source, which are both important. So this hand looks pretty spicy.
Yeah, this hand's pretty good. Like two lands, 2 mana dorks, Thragtusk, Unbearable Rights.
Sure.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Pretty happy with this one.
So since I'm on the play, just play my land tapped, and ship turn. Not a whole lot to do here.
And Rip Garruk. So this hand's looking real good if my guys don't die. So he doesn't pillar my guy there, so I'm feeling pretty happy about this hand.
Yeah. I guess like my plan really is to Dreadbore a mana guy here until he plays like this other elf, and then I'm feeling kind of gross until I peel this Bonfire of the Damned.
Yeah, that's just so.
That felt pretty good because I mean obviously the first time I had drawn it in the match, and you know the deck only plays 3, which I'm probably gonna suggest adding a 4th. It seemed like it was the only card that gave me any sort of shot of winning many of the games. So we also draw the 4th land here, and Brian has no play.
Yeah, so we're just getting ranched here. That Bonfire destroyed us. Yep. Without the Bonfire, we would have been casting Garruk right there.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
Passes on 4 again. I'm kind of thinking he might have Restoration Angel, but I still think since I think I draw a land here. No.
If I had an Angel, I think I'm pretty sure I would have just main phased it to keep your guy from flipping, and then
sure, that makes sense.
Block if you send, I'll block and force you maybe to spend a turn on Township.
Sure.
So.
I guess that's reasonable. Like I don't know why I didn't put you on Angel, but I guess it makes sense that you would have main phased it to keep my guy from flipping. So,
all right, so here's old Thragtusk.
Yep. Yeah, that guy. And this was the point where I thought like the game was over until he played Thragtusk. I'm like, well, I mean, he might be able to claw his way back in. I decided to Dreadbore, and then that way his 3/3 can't really profitably block my 4/4 Huntmaster. And I can also send in the wolf, and then that will potentially let Olivia kill his 3/3 should he block the wolf. So,
yep.
All right, so he blocks. I shoot it to grow Olivia, sending her to 4. So he takes 8 down to 6, and then my wolf dies and his beast dies.
My plan at this point is to play Thragtusk every single turn until I hopefully hit like an Olivia or something, or Angel Serenity.
Right. At this point, since he has the Umberos in the yard, though, I don't really want to kill it. And since I can just grow my Olivia to a 6/6, I decided to just shoot his Thragtusk for 2, make Olivia 6/6, and then attack for 6, and just pray he doesn't have anything crazy on the next turn. Like, in order for me to lose the game, I think he has to go like Grizzly Salvage or Mulch into an Angel of Serenity and a land. So I mean, it's not like really that unlikely, but it's not that likely either.
So I have 2 Grizzly Salvages that I haven't really had a chance to cast, but here I have to.
Yeah. So you have to hit a land and an Angel.
Right, and I do not.
Right, so you hit a land. Cool. We whiffed, so I think that was it there.
Yep, that was game. Yep.
All right, so we finally took one down. I felt pretty demoralized after getting 3-0 to start, but peeling the 1 Bonfire that game to slow you down long enough for my stuff to actually, get going, felt like basically that's what I had to do to win the game was to just draw Bonfire.
Yep. Yeah.
Like your goal is to just like stall me out until you can get an Angel into play, and if you are able to successfully stall me out, like I just die very, very easily. So
yeah, without like the blowout from Bonfire, like it's pretty easy for me to grind you out, but that actually gives you the opportunity to like not get ground out. So this hand's like fairly reasonable. It's not like great, but it's Mana Dork, Borderland Ranger, double O-Ring.
Sure.
So assuming I draw like into anything, like this hand has answers for his guys.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't have like salvage or mulch. But I mean, if you draw like a big threat or
a mulch
or a salvage, like should be pretty good. Although it is important to note that those cards are much less impactful since you did side out 2 Unbarrel Rights. But they're still pretty decent. Grizzly Salvage obviously much better than mulch in this situation since you don't really need the lands, but you do probably need to be able to like hit Angel or hit Thragtusk and put it in your hand. So.
Right. Yeah.
My hand is on the draw. I think it's a little sketchy, but the fact that I can turn 3 Olivia against them, and that's my like probably best possible opening against you. I decided to keep it and just hope that Olivia is good enough, but. You end up having the Oblivion Ring for it, which kind of sucks, but my draws are pretty good after that. So, all right, so we just lead with a tap thing. Unfortunately, we drew another land, so my hand of 6 mana sources Olivia against your double Oblivion Ring is kind of embarrassing. But
yep. So I draw Garruk, which is pretty sweet, like kind of the threat that I need.
Oh, maybe my draws weren't that good this game. I just drew another land, so
I think. Later on, they're much better.
Well, yeah, I mean, they get better.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think I actually draw, like, next turn I play like Olivia, you Oblivion Ring it, and then I think I draw, like, Huntmaster.
Bonfire.
And then Bonfire.
Some
and then,
really powerful.
Look, we don't want to tell them what happens every turn. Come on, let them watch. But, yeah, so at this point, like, I feel like I'm very far behind until he decides to attack with his... Avacyn's Pilgrim, and then I was hoping that his hand was just full of blanks at that point, just like all mana. And
I mean, basically is.
Well, yeah, but you still have Garruk, and you can potentially Garruk next turn. However, my Olivia can threaten to just kill your Garruk since I can grow it to a 4/4 bigger. So you are forced to Oblivion Ring it as opposed to playing Garruk, which is good for me.
Yeah, if I play Garruk here, it just dies, so I have to O-Ring, and then just crash in again and play the Temple Garden. So.
Yeah. All right, so here, this is the turn I actually drew Bonfire, and I think I waited for a minute because I didn't think I wanted to cast it yet because killing his current board state didn't really do much, and I had seen from like the previous game that he had Garruk in his deck, and I knew that if I wanted to blow him out really badly, I had to just like wait until I could Bonfire for 3 against like a stalled board. But you really want creatures in play when you cast Bonfire in order to, quote-unquote, get max value.
I think if you didn't have the Huntmaster there, you probably want to Miracle it. But
since I had a threat to play. Yeah, I decided to not block a little takesy-backsy there.
Yeah.
But I figured since I had the Bonfire, my creature was way more important than his. So here I think you just Garruk, and unfortunately I can't Bonfire to kill your whole board. So my play here is to just flip Huntmaster, kill your Avacyn's Pilgrim to keep you off of Angel of Serenity, and to hit Garruk for 2 so you can't draw 3 cards with it. So, and I can't really cast this Underworld Connection, unfortunately, because if I do, then my Huntmaster doesn't flip, and then your Garruk gets bigger, etc., and you can potentially Angel me next turn. So,
I also think it's important to take Garruk down below 4 so I can't draw cards.
Yeah,
because like my hand is very bad here, and I'm end up drawing mulch and
you already have the Oblivion Ring for my Huntmaster, but the fact that next turn I'm going to Bonfire for 3 to kill all your guys and your Garruk is pretty gigantic. And your mulch, just got you 2 lands and nothing in the yard, which is nice. But it is important to note that you don't have Lingering Souls in your deck anymore either. So the odds of you hitting like a relevant card off of mulch is much smaller. So it's possible that like you should maybe side out some number of mulches when you side out Lingering Souls and or Unbarrel Rights. So.
Yeah, that's probably true. Although this land does run a pretty low mana count, it's like 23 lands. So I don't know if I want to side them all out because I think I still do need to be able to hit lands. So.
Sure. So he's able to pressure me a little bit here. Like I'm at 9, but we do have the Bonfire, so I just slam it for 3, kill his guys in his Garruk, and then hit him for 2. And now I'm sort of like on the way back into the game because of Bonfire. Just only Bonfire would have done that for me at that point, I think. So.
Yeah, nothing else really puts you...
Yeah, Mizium Mortars wouldn't even have done it because it doesn't hit your Garrick for any, and then like I just hit it and it goes down to 1. So, but here you draw another Mulch, which hits a bunch of creatures and a Sever, but no land. So you have the potential to Sever me if I draw like Olivia or something like that. But my Underworld Connections hopefully will get some work done over the next couple of turns. We draw...
Deathrite Shaman.
A Deathrite Shaman? Okay.
Yeah.
So this turn I'm going to go Connection, Deathrite Shaman, and Key Rune, I think. I don't remember what I drew off of the Connection, though. But we're going to suit up this mountain with this spicy enchantment. I really like Underworld Connections in this deck a lot because you have Huntmaster and Thragtusk to gain back life. And like you don't really care about paying the life that much when you're, just gaining 5 or, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Like... I really like I like Connections in Junk too. Like I don't know if the Reanimator deck's the right shell for it, but like the Junk token deck that won the other week, like Connections is very good there because you have Thragtusk Angel to gain a lot of life.
Sure. So his hand is just 2 land. I was very afraid of Angel at like every point of this game, but
so Grizzly Salvage in
2
5 cards.
You do have 5 choices here. Yeah. You could take any of these 5 cards.
It's true. The world is open to me. There's 2 Arbor Elves, a Pilgrim, and 2 lands.
The Grizzly Salvage is your oyster.
Yeah.
So obviously not an impressive Grizzly Salvage. His hand still just lands and dorks. So with this Underworld Connection, we're just going to bury him. But obviously, if at any point he had drawn Angel, he would have been right back in the game since I hadn't drawn an actual answer to it. So.
Yeah, pretty frustrating at this point to not have hit a like a Thragtusk or an Angel, having gone through this much.
Yeah. So my plan here is to hold up Deathrite Shaman. I have 10 mana exactly, so I can cast both Thragtusks. Oh no, I think I had 9. No, so I couldn't cast both Thragtusks. So I draw a card, play Thragtusk, and then hold up for Deathrite Shaman. But if he flashes back Sever the Bloodline, targeting like random guy, that doesn't matter that much. Like I'm completely fine with that. However, if he plays like Unburial Rites targeting Angel of Serenity, that's pretty bad for me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I could hit either one, just depending on what situation happened. And luckily for me, Brian makes a little bit of a mistake, but we'll talk about that in just a second when we get to his turn.
Yeah, it's something that is useful to keep in mind in Standards, like something that I'm sure most people haven't really had a chance to play with too much, but could be relevant. It is here. It won't come up very often, but when it does, it'll be important to remember.
Yep.
So.
All right, so we pass turn. Brian, I think, draws a Borderland Ranger.
Yeah, I draw Borderland here. So my plan is Borderland, grab a land, play, and then flashback Sever on his Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah. So Brian, plays the Borderland Ranger. Or he counts his mana first. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I got to make sure that I can do it.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to think about what creature I want to sever, if any.
Sure.
I think I have to hit the Deathrite Shaman in case I draw an Unburial Rites.
Yeah. So we trigger here, get the 6th land untapped, and then the thing that happens is that since he played the Borderland Ranger, I knew that was the card he drew for the turn since he had a bunch of extra mana last turn that he didn't use. So I wasn't afraid of Unburial Rites because if he had Unburial Rites, he would have cast it the turn before to get Angel while I was like tapped out doing nothing.
Right.
And so since he does that, he plays his 6th land, and then he goes to use the Arbor Elf to untap a land. And when he does, that gives me a window, since it's on the stack, to exile his Sever the Bloodline in the graveyard. Dealing him 2 damage, and I think that since I knew he didn't have the Unburial Rites in hand, it's correct to just go ahead and remove his Sever there.
Yeah, and then I just only have 6 mana.
Yeah.
And
the mistake was you already had a land in hand, so there was no reason really to Borderland Ranger first. If you just play your land, Sever, and then play Borderland Ranger after, then you get to kill my Deathrite Shaman, and then potentially buy yourself 1 more turn. But I'm able to actually just kill you here. Like I draw a removal spell off of the Underworld Connection, kill your Borderland Ranger, attack for I think 7, and then I
don't think I'm actually dead.
No, I attack you for 10 because I have the Key Rune, right?
Yeah.
So I pillar your guy, attack with Key Rune and the 7 power worth of creatures in play,
Puts me at 2. It puts me down to 2.
Puts you at 2, but then I use Deathrite Shaman to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was casting Huntmaster because I didn't add up the damage at first. I knew I was able to. I had enough mana to do all the stuff, but yeah. So activate, attack for 10, put you at 2, and then Deathrite Shaman you.
Yep. Deathrite Shaman is like extremely powerful. I think this game showcased how good it can be.
Yeah.
Like dealt 4 damage.
Kept you from severing my guy.
Yeah.
Shut down a potential Unburial Rites.
Yeah.
He's definitely very good against the Junk Reanimator deck. So I would say this, that I recommend Deathrite Shaman against Reanimator 100% if you can use both abilities. If you can only use one ability, maybe not.
Right.
Like if you're like a green, red, white deck, probably not. But if you're green and black, it's an awesome card against you.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you have any sort of like graveyard interaction yourself, like Mulch or Grizzly Salvage, it's pretty sweet to have in your deck too, because you can tap it for mana as well as hitting your opponent for 2 and gaining life against like the aggro decks.
Yeah,
So.
I mean you can also get mana off of their lands too,
Right.
like against the junk deck or whatever.
Right. Okay. So overall, what do you think about the matchup?
I think the Reanimator deck is slightly favored, but I think it's fairly close. Like I think this match is a pretty good indicator of how I would expect a 5-game match between these two decks to play out. Like
Right.
3-2 in favor of the Reanimator deck.
Right. So I do think it's important to note that Game 1 felt almost unwinnable. Even if I was able to kill your Angel of Serenity, I mean, you had Unburial Rites to get it back, and just like an infinite number of creatures and things that were just hard for me to deal with. So.
Yeah, like game 1 is definitely like heavily in my favor since you have no way to interact with my graveyard at all. Like every Unburial Rites is just a huge 2-for-1, or like with Angel Serenity like a 5-for-1.
Yeah, because you can get back, like
a Thragtusk, get rid of 2 of your guys.
Yeah,
and then when he dies, just do it again.
Yeah, I really like both decks a lot. Thragtusk is, like I said, one of my favorite cards in Standard at the moment. I mean, it's so good against control and aggro, and you just don't see a lot of mid-range cards that are good against both of those archetypes.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that even though both these decks are considered mid-range, they do wildly different things. Like mine is way more focused on killing creatures and winning the creature battle with Olivia Voldaren, where your game plan is to put an Angel of Serenity into play as fast as possible, whether that be from the graveyard or from your hand using mana acceleration. But we're also vulnerable to different things. Like your deck is vulnerable to Deathrite Shaman, while my deck is vulnerable to Angel of Serenity.
Yeah.
So a little gross, but yeah, I really like both decks a lot. Same. I think both are pretty well positioned. I think that one way for both of the decks to beat up on the Miracle deck specifically is to play more Planeswalkers. I think that was one thing that we did last week, was you just had a ton of Planeswalkers and you just ran all over me. And you could see how good Garruk was in that deck specifically against another mid-range deck. And I think the fact that you just can play more Planeswalkers in your sideboard to have more threats, like, if they have Grafdigger's Cage or Purify the Grave, it's going to shut down your Angel plan a lot, and Angel's not really that great against them anyway, so you just want more threats that are tough to deal with. Yeah,
like Garruk, and I mean, even Thragtusk I think is really good against the Miracle deck.
Yeah,
like
agreed.
I would go so far to say I think Thragtusk is just the best card in Standard right now.
I mean, it very easily could be.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, overall, I think one card to consider for the black, red, white, or the junk sideboard is Ray of Revelation, because if you're siding in stuff like Planeswalkers, you want to have an answer to Detention Sphere, or potentially multiple Detention Spheres, and Ray of Revelation is the best card for that when you're playing Grizzly Salvage, Mulch, stuff like that. Very easy to hit those.
Yeah, and beyond that, tokens has been like surging in popularity with Intangible Virtue, and
sometimes favorable wins.
Yeah,
as well.
Sometimes favorable wins as well, and like you want as many Rare Revelations against that deck as possible.
Right. You just want to shut down all their guys, and then you can use like Angel Serenity to kill their tokens permanently.
Right. Like between like Angel Serenity, Sever the Bloodline, and Ray of Revelation, you want to be able to like hit them on all fronts.
Right.
So.
Cool. All right, guys. I think that's it for us this week. We appreciate y'all tuning in. This is Todd Anderson alongside
Braun-Duin.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
See you later.